Sometimes life comes back to bite you in the ass, and that's why many of us have the problems that we do. In this video, I'm going to share with you a couple of examples and stories as to how the past can really come back and F with you. And it can sabotage you, it can keep you stuck in place, and it can also give you some severe emotional problems, feeling like you are a failure or like you are an absolute frickin' mess. If you're new to me, welcome to the conversation. I'm Dan Candell, known worldwide as the Anxiety Relief Guy. If you're not new, welcome back. Great to have you back as part of the conversation. I'm going to share a client story with you, but this client is me. So when I'm working with clients, I often tell them about some of the experiences that I've had to overcome because believe me, if I can do it, they can do it. If they can do it, you can do it. So I hate moving into being an entrepreneur and into business. I absolutely hated competition. Absolutely hated anything that had to do with competition. The reason why is because to me, competition meant win-lose. It means strong. It meant strong or weak, and it meant pain. And the reason why I did some deep inner work around this years ago, and I discovered that, and this is someone who I would avoid, not just like playing games with my friend. Like I absolutely hated playing games, but I also hated any competition in the business world. So I would avoid absolutely everything that would have something to do with competition. I'd avoid going to networking events. I would avoid going to conferences or conventions where there were other people around who did something similar to what I did. I would avoid interacting with other colleagues, looking at them as competition and, oh, they're always going to be better than I am. And it gave me major imposter syndrome. Now, of course, you might be thinking, oh, but you've come so far. And I have, but it's because I've done the work. So in doing the work, here's what I found out. I put myself through some of the same things that I do with my clients. And again, this was a long time ago. And I figured out that the reason why I hate competition is because competition to me meant pain. It meant getting hurt, and it meant disappointment. And like I said, it meant win, lose, strong, weak. So here's what happened. When I was a kid, my mom would always bring me over to my cousin's house, and I couldn't stand it because they were very competitive. It's like boys will be boys, and they were very competitive. They turned everything into a fucking game, and it was a nightmare. If I won the game, and it could be a video game, it could be we're playing flag football, or we're playing baseball, or we're playing a board game, they turned everything into a damn competition. And if I won, they'd beat the shit out of me because they were sore losers. If I lost, they'd beat the shit out of me because they'd be like, we won, blah, 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 blah. And I absolutely hated it. So whenever I was involved in any type of competition, my mind instantly went to, you're going to get hurt. And my little piddly mind, my little young mind absorbed and applied that program throughout my entire life, up until the point where I stopped that program because I realized that pattern was really fucking with me. So, like I said, I did a lot of the same work that I do with my clients and that I do with my groups and the people in my programs. And I'm proud to say I now embrace competition in a healthy way because what I saw, what I witnessed, what I experienced when I was younger was unhealthy competition. What I experience now as an adult is healthy competition. And I had to redefine, I had to change the definition of what competition meant to me. And that winning and losing weren't the only options. That if you lost or if you weren't the one that always came out on top, it wasn't always a bad thing. So think of some of those things in your life that you might be carrying on that need to be redefined. I'll give you another example of this. This was about a year or two ago, I want to say. I worked with a particular client. He owned a law firm, and this guy was like on top of his game. You'd look at him and you'd be like, oh, he has all of his shit together, very successful guy, has a bunch of attorneys working underneath him. Like, he's really dredged through the mud to get to where he is today. And when he came in for some sessions, he said, hey, I have performance anxiety. And he said, I hate speaking up in groups. I hate giving presentations. And he said, I completely avoid it. So this was interesting because he didn't start experiencing this up until the point where he was around 40 years old. When he turned around 40, 41, that's where he started to have panic attacks. And that's where he started to really worry and get nervous. And he had what we call anticipatory anxiety, which is he was anticipating having a panic attack or feeling anxious when he gave presentations, so he'd avoid anything that would potentially make him feel anxious. He, of course, was afraid to talk to other people about this because he thought other people would see him as weak. So I'm asking him some questions, and I put a lot of my clients and the people through my programs, I put them through this belief discovery process, we'll call it. And this particular client, I asked him if he had any trauma. And he goes, no, I don't think I've had any trauma, nothing that would cause me to not want to speak in public, or he's like, even at like family events, I don't want to talk, and I don't want to speak up. I don't want to say anything. So this really started to dampen his spark. It started to yuck his yum. So I'm like, well, how do you feel if you have to give a presentation or if you have to speak up in front of people? He's like, I literally feel like I'm going to die. I literally feel like I'm going to die. I'm like, okay. So I worked my magic and I said to him, let's go back to one of the earliest times you remember feeling like you were going to die, where you felt like your life was threatened. He said, I don't think this has anything to do with the problem and as to why I'm here today. He said, but one thing did pop up in my mind. I said, what's that? He said, when I was younger, I was about 6 years old. He said, my parents got a divorce. And I said, is that the trauma? He said, no, it wasn't that traumatic. And that happens to a lot of people. Their parents get a divorce. Not that big of a deal. He said, but my mom was dating this other guy. And he said, I remember vividly, like my mom was in the shower with this guy and he was trying to kill her. And he said, I spoke up and I started screaming for help. And this guy peeked his head out the bathroom door and said, if you don't shut your mouth, I'm going to kill. Or no, he said, if you speak up or if you don't shut your mouth, I'm going to kill you too. Guess what this kid's mind recorded? Anytime you speak up for yourself or anytime you open your mouth, you're going to die. Your life is going to be threatened. So I asked this guy, I said, hold on. Was he really trying to kill your mother? He's like, well, I think so. I said, hold on. You're still thinking about this through the eyes and ears and mind of a 6-year-old. I said, let's play a different scenario. Let's look at this as dirty, kinky adults. Your mom just got a divorce from your dad. She's horny as hell. She calls the neighborhood guy over next door to come over and shower with her. What do two people do in a shower together? And he's like, oh. I said, what kind of noises do they make in the shower when they're doing that together? And he's like, oh. And I said, okay, so what were they really doing in the shower? He's like, yeah, as a 6-year-old, I would think that those noises meant someone was dying or someone's life was being threatened. I go, oh my God. I said, yes, exactly. Your mom was getting busy with the neighbor in the shower while I just think about this. I said, okay, now as a 6-year-old, you wouldn't know that. I said, but knowing that now, how does that make you feel? And he's like, good for my mom, but also weird that I had to hear that. I said, yeah, that's weird, right? Like it's strange that you would have to hear that. I said, okay. So then we worked through that trauma and we went back and repatterned it so that he knew that that guy wasn't trying to kill his mom and that his life was not really being threatened. The guy in the shower just wanted to complete the deed and didn't want his son didn't want this like little 6-year-old interrupting them. So yeah, that's what happened. So when we have this insight, and the reason why I tell you this is because things like this stick with us even though we don't realize they do. Now you might be wondering, okay, why did this guy not start getting panic attacks until he was 40 years old? Well, here's why. The way this works, in the subconscious mind, things kind of go dormant until there's enough what we call subsequent sensitizing events or supporting events that will push that trauma to the surface, and then all of a sudden it's like it implodes. And there can be some little events that keep pushing that trauma to the surface, or there are big events. And here's the thing, I work with so many people and they're like, I had a good childhood. My life wasn't bad. I had a good childhood, but all of these little things can be considered trauma. Now, you might be sitting here saying, Dan, did you just breach this client's confidentiality? No, I did not. Here's why. This person gave me permission to talk about this, and he knows I'm talking about this in a video. And he said, I hope you use this to educate other people. I go, don't worry, I will. I've got this. So the reason why I'm talking about this is because you really need to see that many of our reactions today are actually reactions that we learned from childhood, and we need to redefine what those events mean to us, and we have to change the definition of what things mean to us. I just posted a video last week, I think is one right before this one, about the 7 limiting beliefs that hold you back, that sabotage your success, and that fuck with you. And that video got a lot of comments because so many people resonate with it. And based on those limiting beliefs, most of them are formed from when we're kids, from childhood, because we see things through these younger eyes, we hear things through younger ears, we experience them through a younger mind and body. And if we misperceive something, or if we see something or we hear something and we misinterpret it, as a 6-year-old, like I said, when a 6-year-old is hearing moaning and yelling coming from a bathroom where he knows 2 people are, he's going to think, oh my gosh, yelling and screaming, that means somebody needs help, not they are getting pleasured. So we had to redefine that in his mind. And guess what happened when we did that? He equated then giving presentations with pleasure instead of pain. And I know this because the guy comes in the next session, he brings his phone with him, and he says, look, I gave an impromptu presentation. And he was so happy with himself. And this was just over the course of maybe 1 or 2 sessions where he noticed that much of an improvement. So I ask you this, what are those beliefs or those scenarios that could potentially be sabotaging you, holding you back, or making you feel like you're fucked up, like you're a failure, like there's no hope? And usually what happens is these are like hidden things that lay dormant within us. And I notice, and maybe this is just the people I work with, and maybe my mind is kind of skewed on this, but the people that I work with are very successful. And success doesn't mean that people don't have these types of problems. I work with people who, on the outside, they look put together. On the outside, they look like life is working for them. They're the most functional ones in their family most often. They're sometimes the most successful ones in their family. Other people depend on them. They look all put together, but on the inside, their mind is like an anxious ball of twine. They're waiting for the next shoe to drop. They're waiting for the next fire to put out. And they're constantly feeling like they're on edge. or like they're about to lose everything. And their nervous system is overactive, their mind is overactive, and they just can't shut it off. So what I do is I help you reprogram your mind and your nervous system. And one of the ways that we do this is by identifying some of those sabotaging, limiting beliefs that are holding you back and just redefining what they mean to you, redefining the purpose that they have in your life. And when this guy realized that his mom was getting busy with the neighbor, he laughed at it. He's like, oh my God. He's like, I can't believe I never saw this. Yeah, the reason why you never saw this is because you were so stuck in it. And when you're stuck in it, it is almost impossible to see it. So that's why there are people like me that can help you get unstuck from that stuff, see the reality of what was really happening, do what we call reframe it, and then repattern it and recondition it in your subconscious mind and your nervous system. This is fun. This was a fun one to film. Ooh, I gotta get going. I actually am going to do a comedy hypnosis show tonight, and so far we have about 400 people that bought tickets. Woohoo! I obviously don't have performance anxiety. So, my friends, if you feel like your mind is fucking with you and you realize that the past is really sabotaging you, or some of these patterns or programs are sabotaging you, let's talk. Link is down below. As always, be well, do good, be true to who you are. Oh, leave me a comment below letting me know what you thought of this video and how it relates to you. Let me know. As always, be well, do good, be true to who you are. Happy healing. Bye for now.